We're talking with Jane Freeman and now Crossthwaite. And you grew up, the way the camera is angled, there's a red brick house back here.
That was the first house on Markham Avenue my family lived in.
And you were a little girl when you lived in there?
I was a little girl. I think I came here in the 2nd grade. We moved away in the 7th grade. We completed a year somewhere for a year. Came back and lived next door.
Okay.
In the White House.
Right.
And then we moved out of the White House for another year, lived at the country club. My mother hated all the driving she had to do to get us around town, so we came back and lived again at that second house in 45. So we lived here 3 times for many years.
So you finished high school from that house? I finished high school from that house. Yeah.
I think I finished college from that house.
No, so did you go to college again?
No, I went to Wake Forest.
Okay.
Then I went to graduate school. Then I went back and taught at Wake Forest for a while. And then I taught at Queens College in Charlotte for a while. And I've been in the oldest women's college in America for the last 30 years, commuting from Charlotte to Western Massachusetts. So,
well, now how did...
I'm the most mobile member of the Markham Avenue gang.
Oh, that sounds exciting. To what extent did the influence of growing up here impact this mobility or your learning or your...
Just stability. Just stable people. I mean, it was a good neighborhood. And we knew one another and we played. And I remember the swings went up in this backyard and everybody came to the big swings. I remember playing kick the can and all the stuff we did all summer. And it was a good neighborhood with a range of ages.
Now, kick the can. My guess is if we were going to show this video to some children today, they would have no idea what kick the can is. I grew up playing kick the can because I was the littlest of 4 kids, so we played all by ourselves on the farm. But now, tell us how you played kick the can.
I don't remember how we played it. I just remember the shouting. I remember hopscotch, and I remember Ain't No Bears Out Tonight, and I remember Simon Says and Mother May I, and all of those steps. But kick the can per se, I think we must have set it up, kicked it, and then everybody had to run and hide.
It was something like that. I'm not exactly positive.
We should ask this group.
Right, to get
them to play it.
Far
better. I like to see this group scatter behind the bush.
But I think we have a doctor here, so he could take care of anybody.
I'm not afraid of that. We only do what we can. So.
You know, I think what you had to do in order to be safe when you were coming in from hiding, you had to, or the person who was hit had to put their foot on the can and hold it down. And say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, and say your name. But if you could get there and kick the can before they could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and say your name, you know,
that's more complicated than I remember.
Oh, that's the way.
You may be right. It's just about
maybe we just made it up.
I think we have to take your clipboard and go around and ask. This will be a major research project for the next meeting.
You know, but what have you wound up doing now?
I'm still teaching.
You're still teaching?
I'm still teaching full time.
And what is it that you teach?
I teach American religious history, and I'm technically a scholar of the American Shakers. Who are those wonderful people who have the beautiful furniture and architecture, and whose dance tune, whose gift to be simple, has become a sub-topic of American patriotism.
Yeah.
As Aaron Copland's moved it into that lilting hymn, mystical America, but the Shakers didn't sing it or use it.
Yeah, and they were just so much more simple in their spiritual life, in their communal life.
Although simplicity, as you know, is a discipline.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing natural about simplicity.
Yeah.
It's a choice and an ethical decision at every step.
You know, and community for them was this strictly disciplined community of simplicity. But you grew up in a different kind of community. How would you compare the community of a group that you have studied, that you had for short days, with the community that you experienced here?
Well, you know, I think mine was, for me, accidental. Just a birthright, and not a choice. For Shakers, you have to choose to join, choose to stay, and choose to maintain the discipline. And I grew up in this little paradise of family, stability. Although a number of the men got it very well. There were a number of the fathers in this community. They were hardworking. I'm talking the 50s. So a number of people, families, but the widows and the children can stay here.
Well, earlier we talked with Carol. Her father died while they were building the house, right here in Hyde.
My father died at 50, age 50. So,
well, what did he do?
He was an insurance agent and founded the Freeman Insurance Agency in Charlotte, in Salisbury, which then John Riley and his brother took over and ran, and now there's yet another generation running that insurance agency.
Wow, so it's the agency that your father started is
still
continuing on down.
We have pencils and rulers with Freeman Insurance Agency on it. Strange little memories of
well, yeah, but that kind of stuff is not only fun, but also ties us together. Ties family.
That's right. That's right.
And those are some of the things that are so important to maintain a community.
No, I think that's true. I mean, I think that seeing, for instance, if when Kevin's mother is coming here, my mother came to the first meeting here. I brought her from Charlotte in 2001. She was in the 90s by then. And now that we've got huge here, the African-American woman who's the maid in the Dickens household, and who worked for a number of us when we had parties or celebrations. So Cree is the most revered person here.
Wow.
Which is one thing to say about this neighborhood, which is very white. We grew up in a segregated, white community, which you would not want for your children anymore today. I wouldn't live without having mixed communities and mixed friends.
I'm directly across the street from Kay and Boyd. The husband is in Senegal, the wife is from Boyd. This is what you call African American.
That's true. I better use it here.
And up and down the streets, there's like newsletters, up and down here, which is the street from here. There are African Americans living here. And the homes here on the avenues are African Americans. And then the other entities, we've expanded the boundaries here to include Elm and Lincolnton, again, and including.
But it's a slow-moving change in these old, stable, and complicated. I'm not appreciative of the problems, but I regret the limited experience in my childhood, because the black people we knew were our servants.
And that's a different kind of relationship.
That's a different world.
And as we have moved here, and in the movie The Maids, in the book, and then to meet Kay and Nord, and you hear Kay tell the stories about Cree, and I'm thinking, how does all of this, fit together, and how do people such as yourself and Kay come to the position that you are in today? But you grew out of it.
God willing.
Yeah. In various influences.
But no, you do grow out of it. But I didn't stay here to have changes in my local community either. So I don't know how hard it would have been to be an agent of change. Technical term we use all the time in Salisbury or in the neighborhood. I don't know how. I think those are different questions. I know what I want. But I think the steps to get there are harder.
I Oh, I understand. My first church was on the south side of Chicago, and it moved from white to black with changing neighborhood and cattle and all that kind of stuff. You know, and so I'm very familiar with the difficulty of it. And Dr. King spoke of Chicago as a very segregated, hateful, racist community that he'd ever tried to relate to or work with. And I was there at that time.
He was right.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And if you were the friend, or perceived to be the friend, of somebody whose skin color was a bit darker, well, it could be dangerous for you too.
And see, now at my college, my women's college in Western Massachusetts, is almost 20%, well, let me say 15% international, aside from huge numbers of so-called mulattoes, women of color students. So we are living in a different world. I think it's still a bit of a laboratory to see how we use languages and geography and accents and names I can't pronounce because I'm a southerner. Your name isn't Brown, I don't know what the crossways way beyond me. So it's true, you have to learn. The ear is not well trained.
Exactly. Well, I learned that moving here.
Well, you learned it when you moved to the Midwest, right? You had to pick up.